Hello, it is Twiggy Pucci Garçon, Program Director of the True Colors Fund. And I am about to bring in our special guest for this segment of True Colors Day. For those of you who don't know, hashtag True Colors Day is our international day to bring awareness to LGBTQ homelessness. I am bringing in my special guest who's going to join me for this conversation. And I am waiting for Michelle. In the meantime, this is a conversation about representation of media and the importance of LGBTQ identities in that representation. Hi, Michelle.
Hey, Twiggy Pucci Garçon.
How are you?
I'm good, gorgeous. How are you?
I am blessed and highly favored and all of those wonderful things.
Okay.
So I was just introducing the day, telling our amazing viewers that True Colors Day, formerly known as 40 to None Day, is our international day to bring awareness around LGBTQ homelessness. Folks who are joining us from our side know a bit about the True Colors, but maybe the bulk of the people joining us are probably your fans and may not know about the True Colors Fund. But thank you for joining us for this conversation that we're calling All Tea, No Shade. How's your day?
Good luck with the no shade part, Twiggy.
Yeah, I know. I mean, between the two of us, who knows what's going to happen. But
yes, honey.
So you look amazing. I'm loving those glasses. I'm loving the pop of the red lip.
Oh, the red lip, the red nails.
With the red nails, the red scarf. It's a whole thing happening. It's a look for True Colors Day. Lots of color for True Colors Day.
That's it. So and usually it's all black all the time. So pop of red always helps.
You know, I'm in all black too.
Yeah.
So I wanted to start by asking you, you are probably one of the most known and most supportive allies of the LGBTQ community that I know, with such a huge stamp and legacy of really true and genuine support. So for you, what does that allyship look like, and what has drawn you to be such a supporter of this community, of our community?
Well, first of all, thank you for saying that. That is the kindest thing one could say to an ally. Thank you, and I appreciate that. To me, I think allyship has grown through the years, and I think it means something different today, at least to me, than it did 30 years ago. And when I started out getting involved in the community, it was because I felt that I didn't have a place. I don't want to say I didn't have a place in my own community, but I wasn't really readily accepted by these social norms. I was weird. I didn't really fit into the molds and the standards. And then when I was introduced to my first group of gay people, and back then queer wasn't as freely used as it is now in a positive light. So I was introduced to gay people and trans people and bi people. And again, when I first met these kids, it was 1987. So the L, the B, the G, the T weren't even there. That was just,
right.
These people were just gay people and loving who they were as people. And when I was introduced to them, it became instantaneously accepting of my own identity to who I was, even though I was a cisgender, heteronormative white girl from central New Jersey. I had found my family amongst these Black and Latino gay, queer, trans kids who never judged me at all. So I knew in that moment, oh my God, this is what it feels to be loved unconditionally.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm not going to act like I had a bad family. My parents were incredible. I was adopted at 4 months old after being in foster care, and I had, a lovely life. But again, being adopted, you never feel like you fit in either. So to me, I knew at that point, these are the people that have always stood by me and loved me unconditionally, and I mean unconditionally. Nowadays, there's a little more conditions that I don't like. But back then, there were no conditions. And what it means to me is to not just talk about being an ally, but to be there, walk, support, speak up when it's not the popular vote. Do what you have to do to get your voice heard, because this is a community that has been my backbone for 30 years.
Yeah, I can totally relate to that. As you know, I'm a part of the House and Ballroom community. For those who don't know, that's where Bogan comes from. And my house family and my chosen family has been there in times of me where my biological family was not. And so I often, I really like to underline that notion that you brought into the conversation around chosen family, and how valuable chosen families are, alongside biological families, if folks have that sort of support network. Um, so what has kept you so involved and in such a deep and enriched way, in your allyship, and what connection, um, did that allyship turn into this huge platform for you that you're able to have such a huge stamp and a huge voice?
For me, it's always been there. So like I walked my first ball when I was 18 years old, and um, I didn't know anything about the Harlem ballroom culture. So I entered through that as well, ironically. And like I said earlier, like I knew at that moment that was it. A family had been born, chosen family, yes. And it was amazing. And what keeps me going is one simple word, and that word is love. Because the true sense of the word, it's its purest form. People fight, people argue, we have our, this and our that. But at the end of the day, I am still friends and in contact with my house father, my first house father, which is Cesar Valentino, and we were the House of Magnifique. And
Mm-hmm.
we were the ones that we all wanted to be extravaganza, but they didn't want us. We weren't good enough. So we created our own family to compete against the extravaganzas. And because they were it back then. But for me, the word is love, because through all the jobs that I have done, even when I was on the radio and kind of not as in touch out there doing what I was doing, I was having babies, I was doing whatever, I still was always there for the cause, walking in pride, supporting, doing what I can do, even further away, because I was in Florida for 5 years as well, and seeking out the communities that I could find there that aren't so allowed to be so open, unless it's like Wilton Manors in Fort Lauderdale. But when you live in a little area in West Palm Beach, you have to seek out these kids that are scared to be open and out, and try to be there for them. And I think it all comes down to love. And I have to say, for the people who want to be allies and ask me how they can be an ally, all you have to do is be there, be present, and show your commitment to the cause. And for me, my cause is LGBTQIA plus equality and rights. And I feel like until we get to stop the word equality, until we don't have to use the word equality, then our work is not done.
Yeah, I really appreciate it. Actually, I know Adrian Magnifique, and he used to be Whitney Magnifique turned Whitney Mugler and Garçon. But these are really close friends and family of mine, so I appreciate that. I also really appreciate and underline your idea around, and my colleague Nick, who actually organizes True Colors Day, often says that allyship requires action, right? Like it's not just about being there, right? Like you have to do something. I mean, you've been doing a lot for a number of years, and one of the biggest things that is in the media right now that you're doing is RuPaul's Drag Race. So let's bring that into the conversation, and I'd like to ask, for you, what is the importance of representation of LGBTQ plus people in the media today, and how has the imprint and the kind of footprint of Drag Race impacted pop culture?
Well, I think we all know the impact that it's had. The irony is, and the people in the community, and I've gotten some flack, Twiggy, over the years by, even last year, somebody, when I called out the letter A, and somebody said, you don't get to say that because you're not part of our community, so you don't get to say we, and said, owned the A as asexual. And I said, yeah, I never wanted to take that away. Again, when I started, we didn't have letters. A is for asexual. It's also for advocate. And I stand by my A as ally. And over the years, I never had like a dog come up to me and say, you can't fight for me for animal rights because you're not a dog. Or, I've walked for autism, and I'm not autistic and don't have autistic children. The point is, things have changed over the years. And thank God we have a platform like RuPaul's Drag Race, because, Twiggy, and and I know, we've been watching these kids' storylines for God, I'm going to be 50 in September. I've been watching some 17 years old. I've seen these kids get kicked out of the street. I've seen on the street. I've seen them be disowned. I've seen them in trouble in many ways that can really break my heart, and be living on the Christopher Street piers and be doing things they don't need to be doing, and sacrificing their lives and risking them every single day. We've been watching it for a long time, but we are lucky enough to have RuPaul's Drag Race as a platform, not just for the art of drag. And this is what I don't ever want to get lost. RuPaul's Drag Race is such an important show because it shows what these kids do, the integrity, the grit, what they've been through to get their art form where it is. The drag is just a little part of it. What this show is about is exposing the world to a community that should have attention on how powerful, integral, incredible, and strong they are as a community. This is one community that will never be stopped. And thank God we have a platform like Drag Race to show the world how creative and artistic these kids really are.